What's up, everybody? Today I'm gonna be talking about myself, a kind of a mini story to give you some insight if you're wondering why I'm so crazy and things of that nature. This story, not really a story, more of a summary or something like that, will give you some insight why has some loose screws in my head. If you're wondering why I'm such a jerk and stuff like that. Alright, from my 90s, the 90s was the best decade for me. That's when I was in kindergarten and stuff like that. That was my best timeline when I could be relaxed, no anger and stuff like that, a little bit malicious. That was the best time for me, was the 90s. Now sometimes in the 2000s, late 90s to 2000s, I was in foster care. I got abused and things of that nature. So that happened. Now, what I was gonna say. So after I came out of foster care, from 2000 to 2010, I was abused verbally, mostly verbally. It wasn't physical abuse when I was a teenager growing up. There was some physical abuse, but it was very minor. It was more verbal abuse. And for those of you saying, "Oh, words can't hurt you," that's your opinion. Words hurt me so badly I develop a mental illness. So you really can't use that logical fallacy against me. So either way, I was verbally abused by my parents, always demeaning me. And that was just a fraction of it. The cursing, the yelling, the putting their hands on me sometimes. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. When I reached a teenage level, they always had me doing the groceries for them, having them pick up groceries for them, throwing out the garbage, cleaning up the bathtub, which my mom is a freaking idiot. She's saying, when I had to clean up the bathtub for my mom, she said to put Ajax on it. That wasn't the issue. Years of me using Ajax, using freaking Ajax in the freaking bathtub, it took me a half an hour. Did you know why it took me a half an hour? Because this freaking idiot didn't even look at the freaking Ajax. What it says in the freaking Ajax, you gotta wet the surface. For years, I didn't even know this crap. So from 2000 to 2010, it was freaking hell for me. Like 10 years of freaking abuse. Cursing, yelling, putting their hands on me, demeaning me, having me to go to the store for them, having me to throw out the garbage for them, having me to do the bathtub for them. Because they were too lazy to do it themselves. And my parents are so freaking stupid. They were trying to buy my love with name brand clothes, which I didn't really give a shit for. To this day, I don't really give a shit for name brand clothes, not yet anyway. And they were trying to buy my love with that. Alright, imagine a situation that you're a fucking gamer. Your parents takes your Game Boy Advance, smashes it in front of your face, And you had to go for years without playing video games. This is the stuff I had to endure when I was a kid. And they could use the argument, oh, Tim was a jackass. That could have been true in a sense. It's not that I was being a jackass. It's just I didn't like to be picked on. People say when you become a teenager, you become more rebellious. What I say to that, when you become a teenager, you become self-aware of your parents' abuse. Now, some parents says, oh, if you're a teenager, you need to do chores. That is bullshit. That's like if you were living with me, I tell you, you have to clean up your mess. Not clean up your mess, clean up my mess. The only thing you should be doing as a kid is picking up after yourself and cleaning up your room and going to school and getting good grades. Not to pick up after your family members. That is complete bullshit. The only time you should do chores, if you need to learn it just in case if you get your own apartment, that's the only time you should do chores as a kid. So that's what I gotta say about that. So around like 2015, my mom kicked me out. She didn't want me to live with her anymore. This was back and forth business. I had to go to the homeless shelter, go back home, and go back to the homeless shelter. My mom was fucking using me. My mom and my father was fucking using me. They only wanted me to live with them just to do the fucking mess. Just for them to pick up after them, to do their fucking chores. Lazy ass son of a bitches. They were fucking users. So I was back and forth in the homeless shelter, and some idiot, because he didn't like the way, to tell you the truth, I had poor hygiene at the time, so they were picking on me behind that. So some idiot decided to burn a piece of paper and put it by my foot, and I got really burned. Not that I left bruises and stuff where I hurt it. And here's the thing about bullies. They look for any justifications just to pick on you. Or you walk funny. Or you smell funny. Or you look funny. Or you look like a punk, so therefore I can punch you in your face. I hate bullies. I hate my parents and stuff like that. So from 2010 to 2015... I was at a homeless shelter. From the homeless shelter, I went to PSCH housing. I was at PSCH housing, and plus the GD program. Let me tell you about the housing first. When I got my first house and I had to move out because for some reason they didn't like me or whatever. When I had to move out to other apartment complex, my Xbox 360 was stolen from me. I had an Xbox 360 and a PS3 at the time. I bought my PS3 brand new, and my Xbox was second hand, but it was still fairly dead cheap at the time. So, my second apartment where I was living at with my gay-ass roommate, my roommate decided, you know what, I'm going to start doing drugs. You know what happened after he started doing drugs? This is one reason I didn't trust him from the get-go. I'm not gonna say his name because he's not that type of person I would say his name about. All I can say, he was a scumbag. So basically, he took all my video games and my PS3 and he sold it. Why did he sell it? The answer's obvious. So he could do some freaking drugs. You know what's crazy? Omori, when he got into drugs, he stopped caring. We're talking about a guy that has a lot of name brand clothes, rare clothes and things of that nature, some rare shoes and stuff like that. He sold all of it just to get some drugs. So that was my second apartment. Now the third apartment I was living in, nothing really bad happened. I didn't get my stuff stolen from me. It was okay. I guess somebody was complaining, so at my third apartment I had to move out. Now my fourth apartment in PSCH housing, there's this bully, tall guy. I didn't want to fight him with my life dependent on it. A real bully, very verbally abusive. He kept picking on, not really a roommate. He kept picking on the person that was in my apartment and stuff like that. Making me feel uncomfortable, making the other guy feeling uncomfortable. Picking on him for any reason, a generic bully. So I moved out of there. I didn't feel comfortable being around a bully, and there was a new roommate that came in. He was trying to assert his dominance. I was like, hell's no, I'm not gonna do this crap. I'm not gonna have a roommate assert his dominance towards me because he has some fancy TVs, $100 TVs, 24-inch TVs. This is not gonna fly with me. So I moved out. That was my last apartment in PSCH. I really wanted to get the heck out of there. My landlord was a piece of garbage. Like, these people are garbage. The landlord didn't even want to give me the keys to the freaking mailbox. And I had to fight with him. I had to wait until he comes home to open up the freaking mailbox just to get my packages. I hated that guy. Let's see. So I moved to Manhattan. Whatever you do, never mention to people how much money you have. I was in Manhattan dealing with my brother, dealing with his low-life friends, not drug addicts, drug dealers and stuff like that. The worst kind of people you could ever meet. Low lives and things of that nature. They kept ripping me off of my money because I didn't know when to keep my mouth shut. And my brother's low-life friend actually molested me. So in a way, I got raped. So this is the stuff I had to deal with. So at this time, I was really desperate. At the time, to this day, I still don't like my father. I still think he's a piece of garbage. So I asked my brother, my father, can I live with him in his apartment in New Hampshire, right? So he sent me to a boarding house or a rooming house, a sober rooming house. You can't do drugs there. You cannot do drugs and you can't drink beer over there, but you can still smoke cigarettes. I swear to you, when I was living in this rooming house, the neighbors was giving me a freaking hard time. I swear, there's neighbors that will approach me thinking I'm a freaking punk, and all I wanted to do is punch them in the face. This is the stuff I had to deal with. So, after the rooming house, I was living in Orange Street by the Bridges program. And I had some retarded ass neighbor screaming on the top of his lungs on the first floor because at the time I was on the second floor. I hated that situation. And supposedly the guy was on drugs. I don't know if that was true or not. That's what I heard. So this guy was screaming on top of his lungs, middle of the freaking night. I could hear my neighbor snoring. And for me to go to sleep, I need complete silence. And that was being a nuisance. And right now, after that, I'm living here. I live in housing. I live in a housing apartment complex. So I had one neighbor screaming on top of his lungs. He's still fairly new. He's been here a couple of years and stuff like that. It was getting really annoying, screaming for a couple of years and stuff like that during the middle of the night. He would do it in the morning. He would trigger my schizophrenia. All I wanted to do is beat the shit out of him. So I took care of that. I called the cops on him. I called housing on him. To this day, he's freaking quiet. And right now, it's not so bad. I got some neighbors trying to trigger me and stuff like that. A bunch of group of lowlives and things of the nature. Super losers. I call them super losers because they worship me. I'm a loser. So if you're worshiping a loser, you're a super loser. You got nothing better else to do with your life. So that's why I call them super losers. They are low-life pieces of garbage. Don't hang out, don't work out, make no money. Low-lives just to piss somebody off, just because it makes them feel better, because it gives them an orgasm. So that's pretty much what I have to say. This is the stuff I had to deal with. And to be honest with you, I don't consider myself to be an innocent person. I don't consider myself to be a good person. I'm not a goody two-shoes. I'm not an evil person either. I'm more of in the gray line. I'm neutral. I'm not good or evil. Depending how you look at it, it could be good and evil. Well, I don't consider myself to be good or evil. I'm like in the middle. I'm neutral. I'm not good or evil. So that's what I got to say about that. So if you're wondering why I say crazy things of that nature and why I'm always flipping out, this is why. So you take care.